Please take your seats. The meeting is about to begin. Please stand by. We are going on air in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning and welcome to the March 1st Board of Adjustments meeting. My name is Andres Acion. Our board chair, Michael Goldberg, is not with us today. So as a newly appointed vice chair, I get to wear his hat as chair for this morning's meeting. Also, we have to fill in our seat. We have Jeffrey Arison, right? Which is
Yeah, so Jeffrey, just to know, Jeffrey Aronson has changed his residency. He's moving out of the city, so he has resigned from the board, and that leaves a vacancy, either his law position, or it could also be filled by an engineer.
just when we had it all filled up.
Correct.
So, Jeffrey, we're going to miss you. You added great insight to the board and added great questions. So, Dan, that's your job now, to continue those insights and on the attorney's perspective.
I'll do that now.
All right, so let me turn it over to Mr. Belush. If you could go ahead and take attendance, please.
Sure. As you noted, Mr. Goldberg is absent today. Jeffrey Aronson has had to resign. So we do have 5 members present, including Mr. James Silvers, yourself, Mr. Andres Acion, Ms. Janice Silverman, Mr. Stephen Krinick, and Mr. Daniel Nagler.
And also, Mr. Belush, this is going to be your last meeting here
This
with
will be
us.
my last meeting, and then Rogelio Madan from Planning will be taking over for me, and we'll be switching positions, and I'm going to back to the Planning Board.
You'll be missed here.
Thank you. I miss you guys.
All right, so let me turn it over to the city attorney. If you can, please meet with the public to swear them in.
Yes, I'll let everyone also know how to attend if you're attending through virtual land, through the hybrid format. So, good morning, all. Today's meeting of the Board of Adjustment has been scheduled in a hybrid format with a quorum of the board physically present in the Commission chambers at its temporary location, which is at 1901 Convention Center Drive, rooms 222 through 223, and applicant staff and members of the public appearing either in person or virtually via the Zoom platform. In order to participate in today's meeting, those wishing to participate via the Zoom platform webinar may dial 888-853-5257, which is a toll-free number, and enter the webinar ID, which is 828-6961-5309, or log into the Zoom app and enter the webinar ID, which again is 828-6961-5309. Any individual wishing to speak on an item must click the raise hand icon if they are using the Zoom app, or dial *9 if they are participating by phone. Before I swear in those that are present here that will be testifying, I'm going to read into the record the city's notice of lobbyist registration and the city's policy on lobbyists. If you are appearing on behalf of a business, a corporation, or another person, you need to register as a lobbyist with the city's clerk's office. If you haven't registered yet, you should register before you speak to the board. You do not have to register as a lobbyist if you are speaking only on your behalf and not any other party, or if you are testifying as an expert witness, providing only scientific, technical, or other specialized information or testimony in this public meeting, or if you are appearing as a representative of a neighborhood association without any compensation or reimbursement for your appearance to express support of or opposition to any item. Expert witnesses and representatives of neighborhood associations shall, prior to appearing before the board, disclose in writing to the city clerk their name, address, and the principal on whose behalf they are communicating. If you are an architect, attorney, or employee representing an applicant or an objector, you must register as a lobbyist. These rules apply if you are appearing in favor of or against an item, or encouraging or arguing against its passage, defeat, modification, or continuance. For those that are testifying today, if you could please stand and raise your right hand. Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you'll be giving in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, thank you. Please be seated. And with that, I'll
Thank
turn
you.
it back to
Actually, I want to give a shout out to the media team back there, because in addition to the Zoom, the City of Miami Beach has many platforms to be able to watch this and any other meeting, not only by Zoom, but you also have YouTube, and you have Roku, and you have Facebook, and you have the city's website, and you have, you know, our channel of Miami Beach. So there's a lot of different avenues. A little tip is that if you want to go to a Zoom meeting, you don't remember the ID code, I always go to the Facebook page of the City of Miami Beach, and there under the comments, the link is there. You just have to click on it, and it takes you right to the Zoom page, which is very effective. Mr. City Attorney, can you go over any updates that we have?
Sure, at this point, we're still waiting for the appellate court to rule on 1330 15th Street, which was the short-term rental abandonment case that you heard and upheld the planning director's interpretation of the city code that it was an abandoned use. So we're still waiting. It's been briefed, and we're just waiting for the court to rule on it there. Oral argument is not going to happen.
Thank you.
So that's what I have. And then there was one minor item that you brought up at the last time about the having some dedicated staff person over at to help with the permitting process over at Durham.
That's part of the discussion items?
Oh, okay, then we'll wait for that.
Is it, Mr. Belushi?
I would suggest that we discuss those items at the end of the agenda so we can make sure we get through these
Okay.
four applications. Then we can discuss that as well as some other comments that were brought up to the board at the last
Perfect.
meeting.
So then next on the agenda, let's go over the approval of the February 2nd minutes. Does anyone have any questions or comments, corrections regarding the minutes? If not, I'll entertain somebody's motion to approve the February 2nd minutes.
Second.
There you go. So, motion by Mr. Silver, second by Mr. Kernick. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Do we have any requests for continuance or withdrawals?
No, we do not. Just I would note that for applicants today, that we do only have 5 members present. All the variances on today's agenda do require 5 votes. So I just would suggest after the applicant makes their presentation, we have public comment. If there is a motion to approve anything, we take a straw poll to ensure or ask if anybody is inclined not to vote in favor, in fairness to the applicant, to give them a chance to continue the application to a future date, so we have, more board members.
Very fair. So let's go on to our previously continued applications. ZBA 230153.
Thank you. This is on page 9 of the board packages. This is ZBA 23-0153 for 719 West 51st Street. And the applicant, I believe, is online via Zoom for a presentation. An application has been filed requesting variances from the minimum required side setbacks and from the maximum lot coverage in order to construct a new 2-story addition to an existing single-story home. As noted on our staff report, the existing home was constructed in 1940 with later additions at both the front and the rear of the house. The applicant is proposing to construct a relatively small second-floor addition at the rear of the home that will add an additional approximately 600 square feet to the home. It will be located above an existing family room, and the remainder of the ground floor area below the addition will consist of a covered terrace. For this construction, the applicant is requesting 2 variances. The first is a variance from the maximum lot coverage of 30% for a 2-story home in order to construct the addition and bringing the overall lot coverage up to 38.4%. Now, the existing single-story home has a lot coverage of 31.3%, and the maximum lot coverage for a single-story home is 40%. However, because the applicant is proposing to add a second floor, that automatically kicks the lot coverage maximum down to 30%. We would note that although the addition is technically 2 stories, the proposed height is just under 21 feet, which is well the maximum height that would be allowed of 27 feet for a sloped roof. The second variance is a variance from the minimum required side yard setback of 7 foot 6 inches to construct a new addition following or consistent with the existing setback of 5 foot 2 inches. Now, the addition will be set back approximately 68 feet from the front property line, so it's not going to be so visible from the street. And because the addition will be placed on top of the existing family room, the non-conforming setback on the west side will only be extended approximately less than 10 feet. And while the city code does allow a single-story addition up to 20 feet in length with a maximum height of 21 feet for a single-story addition, if this was just 1 story at a 21 feet height, they wouldn't need a variance. but because this is 21 feet and 2 stories, they technically do need a variance, although the massing is going to be consistent with a single-story home. That's just a quirk in the code, which is also one of the reasons why we have this process, for variances. So for those reasons, we are recommending that the application be approved, including the 2 requested variances. With that, I'll turn it over to Tony Leon, the architect for the project. Tony, are you there?
And Tony, before you address the board, I just want to ask the board, have there been any ex-parte communications? Seeing none. And Tony, I'm going to set the clock at 10 minutes. We have a new timer that doesn't give warnings, so you won't hear the beep. So, and I don't know if you can see the clock online, but we'll let you know when your time's up.
Great, thank you. Good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, and one other thing, I just have to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll be giving in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm setting the clock at 10 minutes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much and good morning. I guess really just a question whether or not you need me to kind of walk through these plans. I know that it's a pretty straightforward application, but happy to walk through.
Tony, did you provide a presentation? So if we can bring that up, and then you can walk through the presentation with us.
Okay.
Give us just a second to bring up the presentation. Okay, Tony, do you see the screen?
I do, yes.
Okay, if you can just
Thank you.
walk us through and let us know when to proceed to the next slide.
Okay, great. So here's the context map. You can see up in the upper right-hand corner is the subject property on the north side of 51st Street between Alton and Cherokee. Just something to note, immediately to the right of this property, 715, this house has a similar second floor addition on it in the rear. It's hard to see in any of these photos, but anyway, just something to note. Next slide. All right, the bottom row photos, the left one is the front of this property, and the right side is the neighbor with the similar second floor addition. Again, with the trees, it's hard to see the second floor addition, but they do have one. Next slide. These are the properties across the street. Nothing really to mention here. Next slide. This is the demolition plan. The rear of the property is on the right side of these drawings. The demo includes a roof over the small rear addition, some stairs, the footprint of the second floor addition, and the pool area. And also unrelated to the variances in the front, we're also creating an area for a driveway in the front. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a site plan showing the first floor plan as well. You can see the columns again on the right side of the house there. The columns that support the second floor. The 600 square foot second floor creates the covered terrace, and there's some steps down to the pool and pool deck. Next slide. The unit size diagrams. Here we show that we're below the allowed unit size by about 8%. And the pervious area diagram below show that we comply with code for the front and rear setbacks for pervious area. Next slide. Lot coverage diagram. Here we show that putting a 600 square foot second floor addition creates lot coverage below, and that additional lot coverage is what puts us over the allowable lot coverage by 6%. Just also something else to mention is, putting an addition like this on the ground floor would put a master bedroom in, adjacent to the rear yard, which would kind of cut off the living space from getting out to the yard. So that's part of the reason for lifting it up and putting it on the second floor. And the variance diagram shows that the existing house is already above 30%, which is the maximum for a two-story house. Next slide. I rotated the plans here just so they fit better on the page. So now the rear of the house is on the upper side of the sheet. These show the proposed layouts. On the left is the master bedroom on the second floor with a closet, bath, balcony, and stairs coming up from below. And on the right, you see the existing ground floor plan of the house. The existing house has 3 bedrooms. One of them is a small converted garage room, and the other 2 bedrooms share a hall bathroom. And that's hence the need for a master bedroom addition for this family of 5. Next slide, please. Elevations, rear and front. Existing is on the left and the proposed are on the right. Next slide. East elevation, existing on the top and the proposed on the bottom. Next slide. Sorry, that previous was west. This is east, existing on top, proposed on the bottom. Next slide. Sections. Let me know if you need me to explain anything here. Next slide. Renderings. Self-explanatory, I hope. Just spend a second there looking at that. Next slide. Couple more renderings. Next slide. This is the last page, landscape plan. On the right side, we're showing the removal of a few trees. 3 of them are in the right of way, a couple of palms and a melaleuca, which is a invasive species in Dade County. We are replacing that with 2 oak trees. And there are 2 trees in the rear that we're removing, an avocado and a mango tree. And we are putting 3 silver buttonwood trees, native and along the back property line. That concludes my presentation. I believe the owner may be there in the audience in case there are some questions for him, but that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. Is the owner here? Yes. Great. I don't know if you want to come up, but thank you very much. Great presentation. Anybody have any questions for the applicant? Yes,
I
Mr.
think
Nagler?
before we go to questions, we should take public comment or see if there's any public comment.
Does anybody have anybody on Zoom or anybody here wishing to speak on this item?
And there's nobody on Zoom? And nobody
Okay.
here, so I think we can
So
close
we'll
the
close
public
public comment.
comment.
Mr. Nagler?
Yeah, and I also have a question for staff. So who goes
Please.
first? Which question goes first, applicant or staff?
Whichever way you want.
All right, I'll start with staff. Are they already, did I understand, however slight it might be, they're already over the allowable coverage and it's a legal non-conforming as a
No, because
current
right now,
stands?
the maximum lot coverage for a single-story home is 40%. And there's a provision for, going to DRB and getting approval up to 50%. So right now, it's perfectly conforming. It's just once they add anything to the second floor, then they would be non-conforming.
Got it. Thank you. And then I guess for the applicant or whoever's with the applicant, just curious, it sounds like there's like a mango tree and an avocado tree that are going. What happens to those? Do those get like thrown out or do they get repurposed?
Well, I don't know what Tony, first of all, good morning. I don't know what Tony put on the landscaping plan. I don't know if they get put somewhere else. Maybe Tony can answer better.
Tony, are you there? I think you're on mute, Tony.
No, sorry. There you go. Yeah, those are just getting removed. There aren't any specimen trees or or any protected species. Actually, if anybody's spent any time in Miami for a long time, you know that these mango trees are sometimes more of a nuisance. So I think that's kind of one that the owner would appreciate getting rid of. They're messy and they're bombs all over the backyard, and they're pretty, they're all over Miami. And whenever it's mango season, you find out everybody who has one because they're all giving them away. And I think that, interestingly enough, I literally used to live in the property that the rear of this yard abuts against, at 5120 Cherokee. And I
you
know
used to-
from the.
you used
from
to jump the
when I
fence
used
to get
live
the
there,
mangoes?
the gentleman who used to live there used to give us avocados from that tree, and they're not good. So I don't think we're losing anything valuable here on this property.
Okay, thank you.
You didn't say anything about the mangoes, though. Did you jump the fence and grab any mangoes
Well,
as
there
a kid?
was, I got so many of them all the time. They usually ended up in the garbage anyway.
Now, just so the board knows, as part of their landscape review in terms of the permit, the bill will be reviewed, and if there's any mitigation required, they will have to mitigate.
Thank you. Any other board members?
I have a comment.
Yes, Mr.
Just for a
Silvers?
suggestion. Have you thought about how you're going to furnish the family room? Because the way you have the stair and the location of the stair and the size that's left over on the family room, it seems very difficult to have furnished it. I don't understand how you haven't considered moving the stair north and south. Tony?
Yeah, that room is existing, and it's it's used as just a small sitting area. I call it a family room, but really in the front of the house, there's a whole living room there. So,
I understand that,
I
but
think that space
Think
will
about,
still be utilized.
I don't see how you can furnish that room other than against the east wall.
Well, the owner is there. Him and his wife have it
Okay, I'm just wanting you
furnished
to
now. It's kind of more of
Right.
a kid's playroom more than anything else.
Yeah, it is my kids' playroom as of now, so it's full of.
I mean, something
thoughts.
internally, you can modify
Figure
if
something
you
out,
want to.
Yeah.
But I think you should lay out the furniture in that room, otherwise it's very narrow, and you really don't have any wall space. And it's not, not big enough to have an island configuration of seating,
Gotcha.
so that's my suggestion.
It's a playroom.
Yeah. Anything else? I think it was smart of creating the pantry under the stairs. My only recommendation, not that it matters, is that I would probably do a glass on the railing instead of the railings that you're putting up there, just so when you're in your bedroom, you get to see clear instead of looking into those bars. But not that it matters to me, but
Right.
if it was me, I would do that. Anybody have a motion to approve? Fantastic. So we have a motion by Mrs. Silverman,
Second?
second by Mr. Kernick. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Congrats.
Thank
Enjoy
you very
your
much.
second floor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the new applications. Mr. Baruch?
Sure, next application is ZBA 23-0154 for 1630 West 21st Street. And this staff report begins on page 21 of the board packages. An application has been filed requesting a variance from the minimum required rear setback for an accessory structure and from the distance separation requirements between the main home and an accessory structure in order to construct an outdoor kitchen for a new two-story home. As noted in our report, the subject site includes an existing two-story home that's currently under construction. The home was approved administratively with no other design waivers or variances. The applicant is now proposing to construct an outdoor kitchen within the required rear yard, including the following variances. The first is a variance from the minimum required rear yard setback of 11 foot 7.5 inches for a waterfront property in order to construct a new outdoor kitchen with a rear yard setback of 7 foot 6 inches. And second, a variance from the minimum required building separation of 5 feet in order to construct an accessory outdoor kitchen in the rear yard with 0 separation from the main home. Now, accessory structures are allowed to be constructed in required rear yard with reduced setbacks compared to the main home. In this case, the applicant is proposing an open terrace at the southeast corner along the waterfront, an elevation of approximately 13 feet NGVD, which is BFE plus 5 feet, which is the maximum permitted for a waterfront elevation. While the terrace complies with the maximum height, the outdoor kitchen, even open to the sky as proposed, is required to comply with the same requirements as a covered structure, so as a cabana. So although this is really only just a low counter, the code doesn't have any provisions to treat these differently than, say, a larger cabana structure or a covered structure, which is the reason they're asking for these two variances. Now, we did note that these requests are mitigated by the fact that there are no other accessory structures which could be larger within the rear yard, and by the yard elevation along the water that is lower than the maximum allowed for a large section of the required rear yard. For those reasons, we are supportive of the application and are recommending approval of both variances. I'll turn it over to Mr. Weber for the presentation.
Good morning, everyone. Am I on? Oh, good morning, everyone.
Yes, and wait, just one second before we start. Any ex-party communications?
No.
Nope. Okay, thank you.
Good morning. My name's Tom Weber, the Weber Studio. I'm the architect of record with this project, and I'm here with the homeowner, Ross, and his wife, Cassandra, and his two kids are about 3 months away from moving into this home. Their nice, new waterfront home. And as Michael really said it, and I'll just come up here real quick, and I'll be extremely brief. There's an open terrace over here on this side of the waterfront that's completely legal. You're allowed to have it, an open terrace up on this side. And they, at the last minute, they're like, you know what? I'd love to run a barbecue counter right across here. We're not proposing for it to be covered. It's just a barbecue. We could actually roll a barbecue out there and have it there. That's completely legal. We could have a refrigerator sitting there. That could be completely legal. It's just a matter of the built-in countertop. So we fell into this catch-22. We're not requesting anything to be covered or bulky or come up and do anything like this. We just simply would like to have it's an uncovered barbecue area is what it is. So that's the uniqueness to this and where we fall into the code. So if you have any questions so then we have two variances because if it's considered an accessory structure, then we fall into these two variances really at the end of the day. So if you want me to walk through any more, but I think it's as simple as that. It's an uncovered barbecue area, and it just fell into a different sort of support. So if I can, happy to answer any questions, and we can go
Tom,
from
the
there.
only thing I would add, and good morning, board, nice to meet you all, is that it's right off of our family room, and so this is where, with two young kids, from the kitchen to the barbecue and back, where we can keep an eye on kind of what's going on, and again, trying to respect kind of the landscape and the code and not have it be a covered structure, trying to keep this very low profile and just fit into what is naturally there on the terrace itself.
Perhaps I could add one more thing just real quick too, now that you bring it up. I mean,
Yeah.
so there's a wall that we already have, it's 42 inches, and it's there, and it's legal. So even the counter is even lower than that. So it's not even seen from the other side.
Right.
So just to be clear. Thank you very much.
Is there any public comment? And there is nobody with their hand raised on Zoom, and nobody present in chambers.
Board comments?
If I could just add one more note, if this was not a waterfront property, they wouldn't need the variance. The code is modified about a decade ago to require greater setbacks for waterfront properties, with the idea that that was more for larger, cabana-type covered structures. Prior to that code amendment, structures could be constructed covered along the water at a setback of 7 foot 6 inches. But as Tom mentioned, this is really just a open counter and barbecue area.
Board comments? Is there landscaping behind that wall?
Yes. Yes, there is. Sorry, I don't have the landscape plan with it.
And
but yes.
and that walls you said is already there and it's 42 inches. It's not going any higher. And
Nope.
and there's landscaping there. I'm guessing probably to block that regardless.
That's right. Along the lot line, there's full
Yeah.
vegetation, and the wall is already there, and the barbecue and the counter will be below that. So it's just coming in front of the wall towards our property, not towards the other property.
Right. Blocking some of the view from the neighboring house towards the water there, but it is what it is. If that's
Well, it's actually, but it's below, the wall's there.
Yeah.
And the barbecue's on the side of the wall towards us.
right.
So it's not actually coming up at all, and so it doesn't block anything incremental to
Right.
what's already there.
It's a beautiful home, by the way. Congratulations on
Thank you.
on the design work of the house. The home looks beautiful.
Labor of love.
How long did it take you?
We're still going. 2.5 years in, we're trying not to lose steam.
Any board comments? Somebody have a motion to pass? So we have a motion by Mr. Nagler, second by Mr. Silvers. All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Enjoy the barbecue.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ross.
Mr. Belush?
And time is up again for the next application, which is ZBA 23-0158 for 2835 Lucerne Ave. This staff report can be found starting on page 33 of the board packages. An application's been filed requesting a variance from the minimum required rear setback in order to construct a single-story addition to an existing single-story home. Now, the current home was constructed in 1951, and the applicant is proposing to construct a new ground floor addition at the rear of the home, which follows the existing north side yard setback of 9 foot 10 inches. The variance requested is a variance for the minimum required rear yard setback of 22 foot 3 inches in order to construct a new addition with a rear yard setback of 7 foot 6 inches. As proposed, this addition will only increase the unit size up to 24%, which is still less than half of the maximum square footage that could be built on the site. The existing home is designed around a large pool and deck at the center of the property, with all rooms having direct access to this deck. The applicant's proposal for an addition along the north side will allow for the slight expansion of the home without negatively impacting the usability of the existing pool and deck. The setbacks proposed comply with the setbacks required for a detached accessory structure. So like in the last application, if this was detached from the main home, they wouldn't need a variance, but because it is attached to the main home, that's the reason why they're asking for this variance. So we are supportive of the variance and recommending approval. I'll turn it over again to Mr. Weber for his presentation.
Before we start, just any ex-party communications or disclosures? Nope. Okay, we'll set it at 10 minutes.
Okay, thanks for having me again. I appreciate it. I had a little snafu, and we were going to present again because I like to present old school, but my plotter didn't work. So I actually made 7 11 by 17 copies. It's of the same packet. If you have that packet.
Yeah, we all have the packet.
Okay, then I'm going to just direct you just come to a couple of pages. Really, that would be wonderful. Okay, so here, I'll put this down. And I appreciate it. Vince Giuliano and his wife, Bianca, have lived in this charming little house. Vince is here. And I've actually been dear friends with Vince and wonderful builder for, 25, maybe 30 years. And what they're proposing to do is like kind of ideal for the city of Miami Beach. They don't want to tear this thing down. It's just a charming, beautifully designed on the inside, not from even me before I even get to it. And they just want to have a little bit more space for their primary. And by the way, it's for Bianca's closet too. I'm going to get that on the record. So,
23 years, my wife is running out of luck.
So at the end of the day, basically, if I could turn to page, I call it page 15. Page 15, it's a floor plan that has just a little bit of red right at the end. So the rear setback is 20 feet. And since we're way below the unit size, we're not asking for any more. We're not asking for a second story. This is a single story structure. Our width of this, what we're asking for is to project back to 7'6", which is allowed if it were a detached structure. And we're not trying to propose or go back any further. It's single story, and it just gives us that last oomph of bringing just a straight addition back that really helps these guys out. It's only 20 feet in the overall 90 feet of width of the property, so that's the only real encroachment to any property owner in the rear. Again, it's single story. The setbacks in the front, as you can even see on this sheet, the whole house is even set back, just a portion of it sets on the front.
Hey, Tom, maybe just point out, I think the page is A2.2 that you're looking at.
Oh, A2.2, sorry, A2.2. Thank you. I thought that this page kind of just tells it all. So we're asking for one simple request, if we could just extend the house back to 7'6", single story, keeping it that way, and enhancing the character of the neighborhood. And if you have any questions, I think that's pretty simple explanation, what we're asking for here today. I'm happy to answer anything. Thank you.
Board members, any comments? The public, is there anybody here on Zoom or for this item? Nope.
There's nobody on Zoom with their hand raised on this
Okay.
item?
Closing public comment. Board? Mr. Nagler?
Yeah, I don't see it in the packet, but just to confirm any comments or objections from abutters.
No. No.
Were they, your back neighbors okay with it? Or was it not asked?
They just sold the. You might wanna
Come up
Come
to
up
the mic,
Yeah,
please.
put it in the thing. Come on in.
The house that is directly behind us has the same setback on his house. They just sold that house. I have not had the opportunity to meet the new neighbors yet, to answer your question.
Got it.
You can speak to Mr. Grant with that.
Any
Yes.
other board comments?
He doesn't own the house anymore.
Right.
Trying to find a landscape plan.
That's-
Is there a landscape plan here?
No, not at this stage of the game. We will submit it during permit process. To tell you the truth, we're not even doing anything to the landscape. The space, the lawn is open in the back. You might add a tree or something, I'm not sure, but we're not removing trees or, none of that is happening in this project.
What page is the rear, the hedge that you show on a plan?
Oh, no, they don't have landscape.
No, I'm talking about, the rear yard.
Okay.
You show like a hedge. How high is it? Is there a picture of that hedge? A wall?
I don't think I have a picture of that. The drawing might be I don't really have a landscape plan. There's foliage on the back
Back
wall.
there's
Is
a-
that Calusia or what
Yes,
is it?
Calusia goes all the way across.
And it
It's
exists.
about 8 feet high, maybe 9
8
feet.
feet?
8 to 9, yes.
Okay.
It looks like a fun addition.
Yes, I can hardly wait, actually.
Okay. I would just make a comment that the Clusius hedge should be as high as the addition.
And that's absolutely, we want it to grow.
Yeah.
We fertilize it all the time. We agree with you. Thank you.
Out of curiosity, between the exterior shower and the interior shower, is that a sliding glass door that's gonna be there, or what is that?
Yes, sliding glass door.
Cool. Anybody want to make a motion to pass, if there's any other, unless there's any other comments?
Make a motion.
Mr. Silvers makes a motion,
Second.
Mr. Kernick seconds it. All those in favor?
All right.
Congratulations. Enjoy your new master bedroom.
My wife is going to be ecstatic with her new closet. Very gentlemen.
Thank you all very much.
Very much.
Michael, I just want to say thank you for both projects.
I
and all
like the
your support.
daybed
Your
additions
staff
to the floor
team
plan.
has been wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Next item on the agenda.
Sure, and the last item on the agenda for applications is ZBA 23-0159 for 5768 Pine Tree Drive. The staff report begins on page 45 of the board packages. An application has been filed requesting variances from the minimum required side setback requirements for a pool and deck in order to construct a new pool and deck on a property containing an existing two-story home. Now, the existing home was constructed originally in 1925. There currently is a pool deck and small pool located in between these structures. A new pool deck and pool is proposed between the main home and guest home in the same location, but slightly modified. They're requesting two variances. A variance from the minimum required side yard setback of 7 foot 6 inches to the edge of the pool in order to place the pool deck, and this is for a water wall for the pool with a setback of 3 foot 10 inches to the side, and a variance for the minimum required side yard setback of 9 feet to the water's edge of the pool to construct a new pool with a side yard setback of 5 feet. Now, as noted in our report, if the home, when it does qualify, if the home is classified formally as architecturally significant, then administratively, we could allow them to construct the pool and pool deck with a setback of 5 feet. However, due to the constrained area of the property, the applicant really wanted to push it to the 3 foot 10 inches, which is why they're before you today, asking for that variance. Based upon the age of the home and the current site conditions, we are supportive of the variance and are recommending that both variances be approved. I'll turn it over to the applicant for his presentation.
And Robert, just before you start, any ex parte disclosures? No. Okay, I'll set the clock at 10 minutes, Robert.
We have a PowerPoint? And I don't think I'll need it, but I respectfully risk stop time at the end.
Yeah, I
if
will.
need.
I'm going to restart. I just have to figure out the new, wait, Michael's going to help. You're at a better angle.
Good morning, my name is Robert Fine, with offices at 333 Southeast 2nd Avenue. I'm here today with my client, Larry Sharon. He and his wife, Mary, own this property at 5700 Pine Tree Drive. It really is, it's a 1925 Mediterranean Revival jewel. I know this neighborhood well because I live essentially across the street from it from coming home from the hospital through 2nd grade. When my client purchased the property, his intent was always really to maintain the house. He really enjoys the architecture, and the house qualifies as architecturally significant, and if and hopefully when you grant this variance, that will not change it. It will still be eligible and meet the requirements for being architecturally significant. This is a picture of the left side is the front of the house, and the image to the right is the pool house, the guest house behind where the existing and hopefully new swimming pool will be. The property has these two structures. You can see it here on this aerial. The arrow is actually right where we are looking for the variance to be. As you can see, the adjacent property it's actually 3 lots. It's the 2 that you see to the right and the one directly behind are all the same owner. But it really is like the area right away from where you see activities going on. So it's, it should not really affect the neighborhood. Next one. One more. Okay, so this is a plan of it, and you can see this is the new swimming pool. And the practical difficulty we have is that stair that comes down from the existing guest house. Florida Building Code, which wasn't in effect when they built this, requires a landing that's as wide as a circulation path of a stair going down, and that's approximately 5 feet. So the pool cannot extend further towards the south, because if it goes in front of the circulation path of the stair, it will violate the building code. And so that creates, my client would love to have an even bigger pool, but there's a line that the pool cannot go further to the south. The wall and the variance is on the north side, and so we're limited. The pool itself, without the wall, is 30 feet. The wall that is in question is basically 1 foot 2 inches wide, and basically comes out of the ground. Can you go to the next slide? Here's a section. You can see it's about 1 foot, just about 1.5 foot high out of the ground. This is a section to show you there's the property line, there is that water wall, there's nothing on the neighbor's side of that wall. Everything, the water running down it is on the pool side. And then in scale is the property fence, so you can see it's a very small wall running along the edge of the pool there. The swimming pool, again, is 30 feet. National average for swimming pools is 30.1 feet, actually. We found that. If you look at the aerials that are in your package, you can see that most of the pools in the neighborhood are actually bigger than that. So we're really not looking for anything extraordinary here in this variance, just essentially what would be, as an investment, a pool that would add value to the property and for usability, you know, a size that really allows them to do what they want. I'm not going to go through all the requirements for variances unless you'd like me to. They're in the staff report, which is put together by your professional staff. The brevity of the staff report, I think, goes to the fact that this is a simple, uncomplicated variance. There's really, it's pretty simple. It's really this water wall, and as Michael said, if they actually designated the property as architecturally significant, we'd be asking for a 1 foot 2 inch variance, not a 5 foot and a 7.5 foot variance. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Board, any questions? No? Yeah. Public comment?
There's nobody online with their hand raised?
I didn't see anybody here, but. Sir? No? No questions? Oh, please, go ahead, Mr. Naka.
Anyway, I apologize. I got your name and address, but who are you?
Robert Fine.
No, but I mean, are you?
I'm an attorney.
You're an attorney?
Yes.
Okay. So you talked a lot about the size of the pool. But I guess my question for staff is, this has nothing to do with the size of the pool. It has to do with the location of the pool in relation to the side setback,
It is
right?
to do with the side, because if they were to shift it further to the south, they really can't, they would have to reduce the size of the pool.
But it has to do with the setbacks.
Yeah, they're here for the setbacks.
Not-
However, it's a factor of it, because if you don't approve the setback variances, they're limited by, they really can't push the pool any further to the south. So you're talking about cutting off, you know, several feet of the pool and the pool deck, which is gonna result in a substandard size. It's not a large pool, it's like 15 by 30 around that, so it's a typical pool.
I just didn't want to confuse the issues. I think the issue is the setback.
Yes.
We're
Right.
not being asked to grant any variance regarding the size of the pool.
That's
Correct.
correct, yes.
Okay, because there's a lot of talk about the size of the pool, but, okay. So the pool itself and the water in the pool is gonna be closer to the property line than the code allows for?
Correct.
And there's currently a pool there now?
Yes, but the pool that's there, and you have pictures of your photographs in your package, run to within like a foot and change of the house itself. So it's circulation around the of the pool to walk there is substandard and doesn't meet current safety requirements in the building code.
Yeah, I guess, so where I'm going with this and my concern, and I think my concern stems from, you mentioned I'm the only attorney left on the board. I do personal injury defense, and I've seen drownings, and they're awful. And my concern is putting a pool closer to the neighboring property line than the code allows for. Have you all consulted with an aquatic safety expert?
Well, let me say this, the pool itself in the water, if we designated the house architecturally significant, the water would not, and we ended the pool there without the water wall, we wouldn't need a variance. It would be compliant. So it's really the water wall, the structure that comes up, that's about 2 feet high and 1 foot wide, that's what the variance is really for. We could stop the pool at the water and not continue, and we could have the pool being compliant and not need a variance.
That's correct. Basically, if for some reason the variance was not approved today, they could still they could have the foam classified as architecturally significant, which I would approve administratively, and then I would approve a setback of 5 feet to the edge of the water, which the code allows.
Right. Which would be a greater setback than we're being asked to do today.
Well, the water is gonna be set back 5 feet, so the water setback is not changing. They're asking for a closer setback for the wall. And as well, they are gonna be required, of course, this property, the pool has to be fenced, and they have to have all the safety requirements, you know, on the doors and on the site, and the self-closing latches, and everything required since they are redoing the pool. So if there's anything substandard with safety on the pool now, they will be required to make sure that complies with their current requirements for any sort of a pool addition on the property.
All right, so a few things. First of all, the answer to the question is, you have not consulted with an aquatic expert, correct?
We have not.
Okay. And by doing this change, you will be increasing the area around the pool where it abuts the house itself, so they'll improve safety in that regard?
Absolutely improve safety, yes.
Well,
Maybe there's a survey on the package
Yeah.
that shows the current location of the pool, and you
Yeah.
can see how close it is.
Right, and it won't be as close.
Correct.
And, and what's the need and the purpose for the water wall? What does that do for us? Because I thought, so we're really just adding a water wall, which
2-foot water
doesn't
wall.
make the pool any bigger, after all?
Yes, if
Michael,
Right.
can we have someone get our slides back on so I can show you?
But I mean, to get this additional
Okay, here you go.
variance space.
If you look on the image right there, that's the existing pool.
Yeah,
You can see how it goes right up against the house, you know, even creates a blind spot there. The new pool eliminates that.
right.
Okay, the other slide shows the stair coming down from the guest house. And right now, that encroaches what today's codes wouldn't allow for
Right.
safety purposes. So what basically, our practical difficulty is complying with the building code and those safety requirements to create a safer pool, in fact.
Right, but the variance is needed to allow for this water wall?
Right.
And what's the point of the water wall?
add noise, I'm sure, you know, a background, to have the water falling, a background, a place to later, to sit against. So typically, you have these sort of water walls as part of a pool.
I guess I'm saying, we're granting a variance to allow for this water wall. They could not have a water wall, and they could still have this brand-new pool with all this extra space around it.
In a nutshell, yes, we're
Huh?
granting, yeah, in a nutshell, we're granting a 2-foot,
Let me bring up something else too. So, yes, the reason why they're asking for the variance for the pool and the deck is because the home is not formally classified as architecturally significant. If we were to tell them, they could have gone through the extra step and extra expense to have the home formally classified as architecturally significant, and then have the setbacks reduced, and then they still have to come would still have to come before the board to ask for the variance. So rather than go through that convoluted process of both, you know, to do both, they're just here before the board to ask for both variances, rather than to have the home classified as architecturally significant, and then just add more money and time to the process.
But they could, in theory, get rid of the water wall and still build this beautiful new pool with the additional step-backs from the house and the same size pool
Correct, but
itself.
then
They
they
could
would,
have all that,
but then they
yeah.
would have, you would then be forcing them to go through the formal determination process to have the home formally classified as architecturally significant, and then we could reduce the setbacks to 5 feet.
Well, that's still not enough space for the water wall.
No, that's what I'm saying. The only
It's
way
an,
we can-
it's an amenity of the pool. It's a small pool, and so to have nice features to it, it enhances the property. It's an area of the pool that, had we had more room there, that's not an area of pool deck. It's not circulation that's required. You know, the building department's gonna review it. If they say you don't meet the requirements in the code for there, then we can't do it. I mean, ultimately, we go through it, so there will be reviews of the pool. From the point of view of safety and meeting the code requirements. But had there been more lawn and landscape area where that wall is, that wall could then just be there. The same access to the pool doesn't change in terms of safety. The other 3 sides of the pool have much greater access. The sight lines to the pool for safety have been greatly enhanced, and
Yeah, and I think that's great, and I think having that additional space around the pool where the house is great, and you don't need a variance to do that, and that's great. And I think to make the pool bigger, which you're doing, they don't need a variance for that either. It's really just the water wall is what I'm hearing.
You could also argue too that by having the wall there, you prevent somebody who's walking in the side yard from slipping and falling in the pool because you have that little wall.
We'd
Could
also,
make that argument.
we would also still have to, declare the house architecturally significant, which would be a unnecessary hardship, considering that if we did, we would still get the setback wall or not.
Mr. Baruch made a good comment regarding that walkway. Any other comments?
I think before, just maybe since Dan, you had expressed some concern, so I'd just suggest before anybody makes a motion, if anybody is inclined not to vote in favor of the variance, they could let us know, and then we could continue the application in fairness to the applicant.
I just want to make one comment that on the stairs, is the pool coming out like 6 inches in front of the stairs here?
Well, it's the circulation path of the stair. If it goes beyond you can only walk between the railings, so the pool doesn't come past the railings.
Got it. So line of sight, just aesthetic, it's not that but line of sight, you're saying that the pool ends at the railing or before the railing or after the railing?
I believe it lines up with the railing.
Because if it passes the railing,
It can't pass the railing. It won't get a permit if it passes the railing.
got it. Because it looks like on this plan that it
Right.
It could be because of the plan
Right.
that
In construction drawings, it can't go past there.
right. So as long as it stays not
Yes.
past the railing, that's
Right.
what this is.
Yes.
Okay.
And the current pool does not comply with that because it looks like you would,
That's
part of
correct.
the pathway to the stair is, the pool is in that pathway.
Great.
But again, the variance has nothing to do with that.
No. That was just an aesthetic comment.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Well, it's why we can't slide the pool further south and avoid the need. If we didn't have that restriction, we'd just move the pool over 1 foot 2 inches, and then,
Oh, you could make the pool smaller too, but
Right,
you
but then
don't
we
want to
start-
do that. I get it.
Right.
Or just not have the water wall.
I mean, it's a 2-foot water wall that actually does have a buffer between the walkway in the back and the pool, so it has pros and cons.
I think the water wall definitely enhances the ambiance of the whole feeling that you want to convey. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Mr. Silvers made a motion. Is anybody second it? We have a second by Mrs. Silverman. All those in favor? Anybody against? Enjoy your pool.
thank you very much. We
Thank you, I really
it.
appreciate it.
Thank you to staff for their time and effort, as always.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bush, can we go back to the discussion items now? And also, I wanted to just bring up on the continued application that we spoke about regarding the height of that second floor, that you were saying that if it was a first floor, it could go up to 26 feet, was it?
If it was a single-story addition.
Right.
The height is 21 feet.
21 feet.
And they were doing 21 feet.
And they were doing
But it
21
was 2
feet.
stories, right?
But it was 2 stories.
Right.
So, and you were mentioning that obviously that's something that doesn't make sense on the rules
That's something
there.
where typically, when we see things like that, is a reason why we, at that point, when we see variances happen like that and see problems with that, that's a reason for us to take a look at the code and amendment. So if the massing is the same, there's no
Right.
real reason to have that separation for a 1-story or 2-story. if
Which
the
goes
massing is the
back to
same.
my initial discussion item regarding the value of the seawalls, which is also something else that shouldn't be coming, the ones that we approved, that shouldn't really have been coming here. Same thing with this situation. We shouldn't have seen that item because it should have been administratively approved. It's the same height as a 1-story. Why are we going through this? Can we fix it?
Yeah, so in terms of the code modifications, like I mentioned, that's something that when we do periodically look at the code and our new resiliency code, we do look at ways to offer suggestions. And this is one thing that I think, because I've seen it not only in this case, but in cases where the applicants have had to make modifications rather than come to the board for a variance.
I'm just
So
saying, it's a
that's-
waste of city money, time for our residents to have to come here to go through all this whole entire process when something is just, it's a mistake per se, an oversight on that we could fix.
Right,
on
I
the
could
books.
definitely say for sure that when we do go back and take an opportunity to revisit the resiliency code and look for changes, that's something that we will bring up in terms of possible modifications.
So what are the next steps and how long would it take in order for us to be able to fix this so that we don't have another applicant coming up here asking for a variance on something that they could do if it was a 1-story house versus a 2-story
But
house?
that's a matter of the cycles and getting, so you're looking at, I'm not sure what the cycle is for the next review, but we're talking, 3 to 6 months.
Okay, so how do we confirm that that's gonna be part of the review?
Well, I will discuss it with the planning director and see what he wants to do.
Okay, so do I need
I
to put
can-
it as
yeah,
a
I can-
discussion item or
I
something? I
can
just wanna make
follow
sure that
up.
it's on the books.
Yeah, I can
and that
follow
we're-
up, with you, or send everybody an email after
Okay.
discussing that as a suggestion from the Board of Adjustment.
Do we need to add it as a discussion item for, say,
We can do a follow-up.
okay.
Yeah,
I just wanna make sure that it's written and that we wanna fix these items. We don't wanna have constituents have to come over here.
I think
for
you
things
could,
that-
you could set a discussion item for items that the board typically sees, and to suggest that maybe there's a chance to revisit the code, to to eliminate the need for those variances.
Great, so can we set that for the seawall as well as,
Yeah, so
as
for
this
the,
height?
for the seawall, I did reach out to Public Works for them to confirm the process and timing for amending the value of the seawall. And just so everybody knows, this is for seawall modifications, once you exceed a level of a substantial improvement, and that means a value of over $300 per linear foot, then you're required to bring your seawall up to a minimum standard, regardless of what you have right now. And I know that that number is based upon a number from many years ago, and the Public Works Department is reviewing that number and for possible changes.
Because we
And
currently have it at 300, and it's currently between 1,500 and 3,000.
You can do hardly anything. Like, you remember last month, we had a variance for a repair of a rock wall, and that was around $100 a square foot, $100 per linear foot. And touching the wall at all would require the applicant to actually install a new seal. I know not everybody agrees with that. I know Mr. Nagler does think that everybody should be building up to that minimum standard. But I do think that I can ask for the Public Works, we can put it on the agenda for discussion next month. And I can let you know for sure, have Public Works respond the timing for that modification.
And what happens if there are changes for pending applications? Those just get administratively approved?
Well, if there's something that's in process and the code amendment, the code is going to be amended, then they can withdraw the application, or definitely, if we know that going forward, meeting with people. Right now, there are no applications in process for seawall height variances at this point, but definitely before they come in, and we always do ask them to meet with Public Works before even coming to the Planning Department to file an application.
Got it. Thank you. I just want to try to streamline as much as possible for staff and for the
But they're going to be
residents.
removing your applications before the board.
Any appeals that we need to know about, or?
No, nothing new. We do have one scheduled for, I think, May. So hopefully we'll get a new board member appointed, so we'll have a new board by that time.
Okay. Anything else?
I think just to bring up the discussion that Stephen mentioned at the beginning, there was a comment last month about having somebody from Durham or having somebody from the city in Durham. So just to let the board members know, and there was a discussion at the Neighborhood and Quality Life Committee meeting last month, and there is a representative from Durham that's in the building department. I believe it's the third Tuesday or the third Thursday of every month. So I suggested to Mr. Sion, if that was not something that, or if you still wanted to pursue the path of having somebody from the city at Durham, maybe reach out to the commissioner who sponsored that item, Ms. Rosa Gonzalez, and see if she was happy with the ending of that discussion.
So let's just put this in proper perspective. How long does it take to get a dock or a seawall approved right now for the city of Miami Beach?
I've heard from, just secondhand knowledge from people that are coming in, it takes a couple of years.
Okay, so it takes 2 years, and we have one person that now might be coming in for informational purposes once a month on the third Tuesday of the month or something like that. Makes no sense. So our residents have to wait approximately 2 years to get a permit approved from Durham, and we don't have one person designated to us from Durham, which needs to be fixed.
Yeah, so I say that's not a matter for this.
I get it.
Here,
We just have to find a path to be able to do this, because there's no reason why our residents need to wait 2 years to get something approved. And having somebody come as a representative once a month, not even to do the work, basically just to be as an
And I would
information person.
suggest anybody watching that's a homeowner or contractor or resident to reach out to the commissioners to bring this up as an item.
Great. So we could bring this up. Could we suggest having this brought up to the commission as an item?
You would need to talk to, we would have to talk to, you would have to reach out to a commissioner directly.
Okay, I appreciate it. All of you, if you feel that that's important, well, let's all reach out to them.
2 years is too long.
I mean, it's
For that,
it's
for
crazy.
this issue, for this particular issue.
It's crazy that we don't have proper representation. Waiting 2 years for a permit is just absurd.
Yeah, I think that small repair, that last time was 4 years from the initial sighting.
Right.
Your microphone is off?
Most of the work that the permits come here for is repairs, right? So it's kind of impeding the process of getting things repaired that actually probably need to be repaired, right?
Yes.
Which makes it even more ridiculous.
Yes.
For everybody, not
Right.
just the applicant.
Right. All right.
So just like, there is no, we do have no new applications for April, so there will not be a meeting in April. And our next meeting is scheduled for May, and that is, what's the date?
In the meantime,
May
Michael
3rd.
Goldberg, I hope I made you proud. Enjoy your vacation.
Thank you. With
Anything
that, I
else?
think we can conclude the meeting.
Motion to adjourn. We got a motion to adjourn by Mr. Silvers. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Staff. Thank you, everybody.